Sometimes I think I must be living in a nightmare. How is it possible that in 3 short years we have witnessed such a monumental shift in the global world order that it would leave the Roman Empire shocked and appalled? After all, the Roman Empire took about 200 years to finally collapse. It was a slow burn. This week we saw a number of massive stories that were once again ignored by the mainstream media, from the BRICS nations shaking up the financial system to major geopolitical movements involving Russia, China, and Saudi Arabia. Putin calling for peace, and NATO crapping all over it, saying, no, we don't want your peace. Take your peace and shove it. We want more war.
So this is not a peace proposal?
To Biden, shaking hands with Zelensky, agreeing to fund Ukraine for another 10 years. 10 more years, billions of dollars, while America crumbles. Yes, we're going to send billions to the most corrupt government in Europe.
I think Zelensky is maybe the greatest salesman of any politician that's ever lived. Every time he comes to our country, he walks away with $60 billion.
The winds of change are blowing strong right now, so buckle up because we're going to dive deep into all of this tonight. So let's start with the transformative events recently announced by the BRICS nations. Now, if you're not familiar with BRICS, it started, as the name suggests, as a loose economic and trade partnership between Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And now it's exploded, becoming a powerhouse, creating their very own currency away from the US dollar dominance. And countries are racing right now to join the BRICS coalition and ditch the US dollar. Well, we have 2 huge BRICS stories this week. First, BRICS announced a new payment system that directly challenges the dominance of the US dollar in international transactions. No more SWIFT system. Guys, the currency part of it is one thing, but the infrastructure to settle transactions is now out of US hands. This move marks a significant step away from the dollar-centric global economy that we've been knowing for decades. Even more shocking is the end of a 50-year agreement between the United States and Saudi Arabia, which required the export of oil exclusively in US dollars.
Saudi Arabia has officially ended its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States, shifting to a multi-currency system.
So on June 9th, 2024, just a few days ago, this agreement officially ended. That's right. Saudi Arabia officially said bye-bye. The Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, has chosen not to renew the partnership with the United States, opting instead to open Saudi oil trade to other countries and other currencies. Hello, China. Hello, Russia. I mean, holy smokes, guys. I mean, I can't understate how big a deal this is.
And you must understand BRICS is an organization, a bloc that has openly called for de-dollarization. So having Saudi Arabia, the backbone of the petrodollar, join BRICS, you couldn't make up a bigger slap in the face. I can guarantee you they are not feeling very good right now in Washington, D.C.
This is a massive blow to the status of the US dollar as the world's only reserve currency, a position it has held for 5 decades. Now, we've been warning for months that this was about to happen. With Saudi Arabia now joining China's central bank digital currency project, we are witnessing a seismic shift in the landscape of global trade and global finance. The era of the US dollar as the sole superpower currency is officially over. This is not hyperbole. US dollar dominance is now over. Liberals can try to spin it any way they want, but you're not stupid. And none of those fawning members of the Biden press corps are going to ask the White House about it. They're too stupid to understand how big a deal this is. Last week, U.S. Congressman Thomas Massie appeared on Tucker Carlson's show with an unfiltered breakdown of what's happening to the U.S. dollar. He didn't hold back.
At some point, they're going to quit using our dollars as reserve currency. I mean, I watched your interview with Putin, and one of the things, whether you hate him or not, one of the things he said that is true is when we sanctioned him, before we sanctioned Russia, 70% of their transactions were in US dollars. And after the sanctions, it's less than 20% of their transactions are in US dollars.
As Massie points out, every time the US government introduces a new economic sanction, the world moves one step closer to de-dollarization. The same thing is happening right now with the US government's microchip battle against China. The same thing is happening with AI and electricity with China. The United States has to basically double our electricity output just to compete with China on the AI and microchip front. President Trump just admitted this.
And the electricity needs are greater than anything we've ever needed before to do AI at the highest level. and China will produce it because they'll do whatever you have to do. Whereas we have environmental impact people, and we have a lot of people trying to hold us back. But massive amounts of electricity are needed in order to do AI, and we're going to have to generate a whole different level of energy.
We've fallen so far behind China, it's disgusting. Saudi Arabia is also considering full BRICS membership later this year and is expanding its oil trade to include more countries and currencies. This is a direct threat to the petrodollar system that has propped up the U.S. economy for decades. But the BRICS shockwave doesn't stop there. Something seismic happened on June 10th and the 11th at the BRICS foreign ministers meeting. 59 new countries announced plans to join BRICS. I mean, what? 59 new countries? And during the meeting, they agreed to an astonishing $78 billion in bilateral trade deals. Yes, they publicly announced plans to ditch the US dollar also at this meeting for local currencies in cross-border transactions. So they made this announcement. We're done. We're done using the US dollar. This is game over, folks. Russian President Putin laid it out this week.
One of the greatest mistakes of the United States is their prohibiting from using dollar as in international payments and using it as a tool, and they're simply undermining the trust towards dollar. It's ridiculous. They should have taken care of the dollar and to preserve it and to raise its profile and its standing. They're simply killing it off with their own hands.
Putin knows exactly what he's doing, allowing these developing countries to start moving away from the US dollar, stop being bullied by the United States. Oh boy. President Biden's foolish sanctions against Russia have turned the world against the US dollar. And China knows exactly what's coming. That's why they've been dumping US treasuries like a bad habit.
And we're also sending a really clear signal, which is the dollar's not safe for you.
Right.
That's the reserve currency because it's a safe haven, because it's a stable country. It's the most stable country in the world, and we're not going to weaponize the dollar because that would be shooting ourselves. But suddenly we are.
This BRICS system seeks to eliminate the global dominance of the US dollar, creating a payment system using local currencies that is free from US sanctions and outside political pressure. And now that NATO has rejected Putin's peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine, we are in for a totally different world over the next few years. So guys, that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is tied directly to what